Discover the incredible moment, how one black maid transformed a billionaire's crying son in 30 seconds. Rosa adjusted her apron, inhaling the faint scent of polished wood and expensive perfume as she stepped into the opulent estate that loomed over the Connecticut landscape. The mansion sparkled like a diamond, each corner meticulously crafted with grandeur that starkly contrasted the world outside. She could almost hear the whispers of her ancestors urging her onward. Every morning she arrived early, ready to face another day of dust and discontent. Behind her smile, a heart of heavy sorrow, she had lost her son to a system that denied him a chance. Each stroke of her duster carried the weight of her struggles and dreams. As she moved silently through the grand library, the walls filled with books that spoke of wealth, power, and privilege, a familiar sound pierced her thoughts. Jack, the young heir of the estate, was crying, each choked sob echoing in the emptiness of the room. She paused, shadows forming behind her heavy heart. The boy was just 10, a fragile spirit lost within the confines of a world that demanded perfection. Rosa felt an ache of empathy. She recognized that look of abandonment all too well. "Why are you crying, Jack?" she asked softly, her voice barely a whisper. In that instant, he lifted his tear-streaked face, eyes wide as he brushed away his tears. It was the first time their eyes met. "I can't do anything right, not for my dad." The words hung in the air, heavy like the dust settling on the shelves. Rosa's heart tightened. She knew the true weight of expectations all too well. "Your dreams matter too, you know," she said, her voice steady, infused with the love she had for her own son. She shared stories of imagined futures, of the vibrant life she had hoped for her child. Their bond blossomed beneath the quiet library's gaze as she breathed hope into Jack's shattered heart. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As days turned into weeks, their friendship deepened, a secret garden watered by shared laughter and dreams. Rosa became a sanctuary for Jack, a refuge from the high-strung affirmations of his father. Yet, with each passing day, a thread of tension wound tighter in the estate, where the family grew resentful of Rosa's influence over the boy. Jack started to face the pressures of family obligations, a weight that felt like lead on his small shoulders. The more he gravitated towards Rosa, the more determined his father was to pull him back into the fold of expectations. One afternoon, caught in a moment of desperation to please his father, Jack rejected Rosa's encouragement, a betrayal that cut deep. The anguish in her heart twisted. Rosa confronted him, their emotions raw. "Why would you turn your back on us?" she asked, the tears pooling in her eyes fighting back the resolve of her spirit. Jack's internal chaos screamed in silence, caught between the love he found with Rosa and the suffocating ambition of his father. In twilight's glow, their connection hung in the balance, each waiting for the other to choose between duty and desire. Would they break the cycle of despair, or would societal chains bind them tighter? In that moment, amidst the escalating tension of the estate, their fierce determination to redefine family and reclaim their dreams loomed larger than the fears that threatened to tear them apart. Would they dare to challenge the world that sought to keep them ensnared? Seconds. The days rolled on, caught in an ebb and flow that felt both familiar and alien. With each sunset that dipped behind the mansion's grand windows, Rosa's resolve solidified. Jack returned to their special hideaway in the library, but silence now filled the air where laughter once thrived. The tension between them felt palpable, heavy as a storm about to break. Rosa had poured herself into nurturing Jack's spirit, only to have it trampled by the very world they both wished to escape. "Jack, what happened to the dreams we talked about?" she finally asked one morning, her voice trembling with the weight of her unfulfilled hopes. "They're gone," he whispered, eyes gazing far beyond the walls. "Dad says I need to help him run the business. He says it's my responsibility." Rosa's heart shattered. She had always known that expectations could be suffocating, but hearing Jack speak of his dreams in the past tense felt like an imprisonment she couldn't bear. "What if I told you that your wants are just as important?" she countered, unable to hide the urgency in her tone. Jack turned to her, confusion and sorrow swirling in those youthful blue eyes. "But I can't, he'll be so mad and I want him to love me." A painful pause enveloped them. Rosa thought of her son, the dreams she had nurtured driving against harsh realities. "Love shouldn't come at the cost of your spirit, Jack," she said gently. "There's courage in standing up for what you believe in. For what you truly want." In that moment, she saw a flicker in him, like the first hint of dawn after a long night. But just as quickly, the shadow of doubt washed over his face. "What if I choose wrong?" "Nothing is ever wrong when you are being true to yourself. Take it from someone who knows choices can be powerful. They shape who we become," she said, stepping closer, a gleam of hope reflecting in her gaze. Jack's brow knit tightly together, as though wrestling with a great weight. "But what if he hesitated, looking down? What if my dreams upset my family? What if they throw me away?" Rosa felt the echoes of her own fears rise within her. The notion of losing a child, whether to a different path or an unsupportive family, was a fear she held tightly. "You have to be brave," she urged, each word forcing the cracks in her own heart open wider. "You deserve to pursue your passions, to chase after the things that fill you with wonder." With every passing day, the atmosphere in the mansion grew thicker, a palpable tension manifesting in the glares shared between Jack's father and the ever-watchful mother. It amplified under Rosa's gaze as she bore witness to Jack's struggles. The boy who had once found solace in her presence now seemed trapped across an invisible chasm. One morning, when the sun broke through the shimmering trees surrounding the estate, casting rays of hope, Rosa decided it was time for action. She wouldn't let Jack slip away from her grasp. She needed him to see that support was possible, even against the odds. With her heart pounding, she made a daring choice. She would reach out to Jack's father, the source of both their fears. Could she persuade him to see the worth of letting Jack flourish? Or would this be the moment that shattered everything they had built? As Rosa prepared her words, every breath seemed charged with possibility. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the conversation that could alter the course of their lives forever. Would she find the strength to battle a system that had denied both of them so much? The door loomed before her, an enormous threshold to cross, one that could either solidify their connection or shatter it. Would she find the courage to speak her truth? Rosa stood in front of the door, her pulse racing as if it echoed her uncertainty. She could hear the faint rustle of papers inside the study, Jack's father going about his daily routine, oblivious to the storm brewing outside. She wondered if he felt the shift in the air too. Would he sense her resolve? Taking one last deep breath, she placed her hand on the door handle, feeling the cool metal beneath her palm. She turned it slowly and stepped inside. The room was steeped in a heavy atmosphere, filled with the scent of expensive leather, varnished wood, and something more suffocating pressure. "Dad," she greeted, trying to keep her voice steady, though it trembled at the edges. He looked up, his brow furrowing slightly as if he were surprised to see her. "Rosa. What brings you here?" She glanced around the room filled with accolades and artifacts, tokens of a life built on strict expectations. The walls felt like they were closing in. "I need to talk about Jack." His expression hardened as he leaned back in his chair, folding his arms across his chest. "What about him?" Rosa took a deep breath, pushing aside the fear clawing at her throat. "He feels trapped. You're pushing him into a role that he doesn't want." His eyes narrowed. "He needs to learn responsibility. This isn't about his feelings, it's about preparing him for the future." Rosa felt her heart pound against her ribcage. "But what about his dreams? Doesn't he deserve the chance to explore what he truly wants? To follow a path that might bring him joy?" He scoffed, a harsh laugh escaping his lips. "Joy? Life isn't about joy, Rosa. It's about duty and family. He needs to understand that." Understanding isn't the same as suffocating someone's spirit, she shot back, her voice rising. Do you really think Jack will thrive under the weight of your expectations? What happens when he resents you for it? The silence that followed felt deafening, thick with unspoken words and suppressed emotions. She could see that he was struggling, torn between the man he wanted to be and the father he felt he had to be. Why are you so determined to undermine me? He finally asked, anger flaring. What do you know about being a father? Rosa's chin lifted, the fire in her heart blazing. Enough to know that love should not come at the cost of somebody's dreams. All any child needs is support, not pressure to be someone they're not. His expression softened just a fraction, and for a moment, she thought she could break through. But he recoiled, shaking his head as if to dispel her words. You don't understand our family, Rosa. You don't know what's at stake. Then help me understand. Help Jack understand. You have the power to change this, she urged, her voice desperate. Be the father he needs, not the one you think he should have. Time hung suspended between them, the weight of her words filling the air like an unfinished melody. His walls were crumbling, but could she push them down before it was too late? She took a step closer, heart hammering. Would it mean so much to you to see your son flourish as himself? To celebrate everything he could become? As her words hung in the air, Rosa held her breath, waiting for his answer. Could this be the turning point they both desperately needed? Would he embrace the path of love over expectation, or would fear keep him shackled? The clock next to them ticked loudly, a running countdown to the moment she realized their futures hung in the balance. What would he decide? Rosa held her breath as the seconds dragged on, an eternity filled with tension. Jack's father shifted in his chair, the frown deepening on his face as he wrestled with her words. It was as if she had lit a match in a dark room, and now he stood beneath the flickering light, too stunned to move. Finally, his resolve gave way, and he inhaled deeply, releasing a long, heavy sigh. You're making it sound so simple, he said, shaking his head as if trying to dismiss her concerns. You think it's easy to just let him be? To throw away years of hard work and expectations? Expectations are only as strong as we allow them to be, she replied gently, trying to remind him of the humanity buried beneath the suits and ties. Isn't it all for him? What if he doesn't want what you think he needs? His eyes flicked to the collection of framed photos on the wall, a younger Jack, grinning widely at a baseball game, another picture of him on a school trip. The rawness of those memories softened his gaze. He pushed a hand through his hair, frustration battling with nostalgia. You don't know what I've sacrificed. Every decision, every late night it's been for him. So he can have a future, one that I never had. Have you ever asked him what future he wants? Rosa stepped closer, sensing the vulnerability beneath his defensive exterior. He loves music, Dad. He dreams of traveling the world with a guitar in his hands. That's what sets his heart on fire. Why not let him explore that? He looked away, the weight of the discussion pressing against his chest like the thick leather of his chair. And if it doesn't work out? What then? His voice cracked slightly, betraying the fear that lurked just beneath his steely facade. What if he fails? But what if he soars? She countered, the passion rising in her voice. What if by giving him that freedom, you're gifting him a chance to discover who he truly is? You're not just his father, you could be his greatest ally. His expression faltered, and for a brief moment, Rosa saw a flicker of doubt cross his features. He hesitated, contemplating her words like a man staring into an abyss filled with both fear and possibility. I don't know how, he admitted, his voice now barely above a whisper. This is the moment to learn, she said, feeling hope swell within her. Start by listening. Just try to have the conversation, even if it's hard. Don't close the door on his dreams before he even has a chance to chase them. As Rosa spoke, the tension in the room began to shift, slowly morphing into something more hopeful. Their shared silence thrummed with potential, but before she could fully grasp the change, he spoke again. It's not just Jack I'm worried about. This could change everything for us. What if we don't step back? What if this backfires? She took his hand, squeezing it gently, a connection formed by shared fears. You'll never know unless you take that chance. What's the point of a life built on control if in the end, you're both miserable? His defenses crumbled a little more with each heartbeat, vulnerability washing over him like a wave. Would he really be happy? He asked, the uncertainty evident in his voice. Rosa nodded. He could be, if you let him try. The clock ticked again, its sharp sound punctuating the gravity of their conversation. Jack's father looked into her eyes, and for the first time, she felt a glimmer of understanding ignite between them. Okay. I'll talk to him. But I can't promise it'll be easy, he said finally. Rosa's heart nearly soared. It's okay. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But just as they locked eyes, a sudden crash of thunder resonated outside, shaking the walls. As they turned towards the source of the noise, a realization hit her: would Jack accept his father's intent for open communication? After all, the rest of the storm still raged on. What if this storm signaled the approach of something greater, something that would forever change their lives? Would Jack be ready to confront the truth? The wind howled outside, rattling the window panes and interrupting the heavy silence in the room. Rosa could almost feel the storm brewing within Jack's father as he wrestled with his thoughts. Outside, the raindrops collided against the glass with ferocity, mirroring their inner turmoil. His expression shifted, a mix of worry and uncertainty clouding his eyes. What if I do speak to him, and it all goes wrong? The question hung in the air, suffocating in its gravity. Then at least you won't be stuck wondering what could have been, Rosa said softly. It's better to take the leap than to regret standing still. He leaned back in his chair, fingers tapping nervously against the polished wood. It's hard to shake off this fear. Every parent feels it, the fear of watching their child fail. With a nod, she stepped away to give him space, aware that each person carried their own history. But what if he never gets a chance to fly? She urged. What if you're standing in the way of his dreams? The room felt static, as if time itself had stopped. Then, just like a spark igniting fuel, he shifted again. You're right, he began slowly, but there are so many layers to this, things you can't possibly understand. Rosa crossed her arms, her heart racing. Then help me to understand. Tell me what you're afraid of. He hesitated, as if each word was a weight too heavy to bear. I fear he'll be lost. What if he chooses a path that leads nowhere? Choosing a path can lead to unexpected destinations, Rosa replied, hoping to convince him. Every successful person has had to weather storms along the way. The thunder rolled again, booming like cymbals crashing in a concert hall. It startled him, breaking his moment of reflection. He rubbed his temples, the pressure building. I never planned for this. As a father, I always thought I was being responsible. Responsibility doesn't always mean control, she said gently. Sometimes it means letting go. Let him surprise you. He looked up, their eyes locking again with a deeper intensity. What if, by letting him go, I lose him for good? Or you could lose the connection you have by forcing him into a life he doesn't want. Words poured out like an uncontainable stream. Every time you tighten the grip, he slips further away. He took a breath, the tension beginning to lighten. You make it sound like if I just change my approach, he'll suddenly open up. Sometimes all it takes is one moment of vulnerability to break down the walls, she assured him, her voice steady like the eye of the storm. Will he really listen? Only if he feels that you're being honest, that you're ready to meet him in that space of uncertainty. Hope flickered in her chest like the distant lightning outside. Jack's father shifted again, the spark of realization brightening his gaze. Maybe I just need to be brave enough to show him my heart. A softer rain began to patter against the windows, the storm easing its grip like a parent releasing a child to chase their dreams. It seemed as if the world within and beyond was shifting, growing lighter. That's the first step, Rosa replied, her heart swelling with pride for him. But just then, the door swung open. Jack stood there, drenched and wide-eyed, shock written all over his face. "What is going on?" he asked, tension radiating from him like static electricity. Rosa's breath hitched as she turned to the father, who froze in place, finally confronted with his son amidst all this chaos. Would he take the leap? Would Jack's question shatter this fragile moment of clarity? Jack's eyes darted between his father and Rosa, taking in the charged atmosphere. It was as if he could feel the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. The storm outside raged, but inside, everything felt on the edge of change. "What were you two talking about?" Jack pressed, uncertainty flaring in his voice. He stepped inside, leaving droplets on the floor, a metaphor for the heaviness that drenched their hearts. His father opened his mouth, the words hesitating, stuck between fear and hope. "Jack," he finally said, voice shaky, we were just having a conversation. "About you." Jack's brows knitted together, confusion mingling with annoyance. "About me? What about me?" The tension spun tighter, stretching across the years of silence and misunderstanding. Rosa's heart ached for both of them. Could this be the moment that drew them back together? She took a step forward, softly interjecting, "Maybe it's time for some honesty, Jack." The young man's face hardened. "Honesty? Like when you pushed me to apply for that job I didn't want? Or when all you talked about was how I should pursue business, just like you? That kind of honesty?" The word stung, slicing through the air. Jack's father flinched, the years of well-meaning guidance now weaponized, and Rosa could see the painful traces of regret shadow his eyes. "Jack, it's not just about business," he said, working to tame his voice, coaxing it into something softer. "I just wanted what was best for you. I wanted you to be secure, successful." "Success isn't always what you think it is," Jack shot back, his voice thickening with emotions. "Don't you get it? I didn't fail. I just wanted to be more than what you laid out for me." A crack formed in the father's heart, and he inhaled sharply. "I was afraid, son. I was just trying to protect you. The world is a scary place, and I didn't want you to get hurt." Rosa watched the exchange. Their hearts were naked, and the tension was ripe with the potential for understanding. "Sometimes protecting someone means allowing them the freedom to make mistakes," she whispered, hoping her words would sink in. Jack held his father's gaze, something shifting in his own. "I guess I never thought about it that way. I just wanted you." His voice broke. "I wanted you to see me. Not just who you wanted me to be." The storm outside began to relent, the rain easing to a gentle patter. Jack's father took a step closer, vulnerability seeping through his walls like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I'm sorry, Jack. I've been selfish. I didn't realize how hard I was making it for you. But I want to try to understand." Hope flickered between them, small but significant. Jack's expression softened, though uncertainty still lingered in his eyes. "What if I'm not the son you wanted? Then let me see who you are," his father replied, a quiet determination breaking through. "Let us find out together." Just then, a thunderous clap startled them, an echo of resistance still lingering in the air. Jack looked back at Rosa, fear mixed with a flicker of hope. "What if I don't know who I am?" he confessed, feeling a heavy lump in his throat. Rosa stepped closer, her voice steady and warm. "That's okay. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Embracing uncertainty is part of the journey." The wave of vulnerability washed through Jack's features, and for the first time, he seemed to breathe a little lighter. But as the storm outside softened, a bolder truth hovered just on the edge. Jack looked back at his father, questions swirling in his mind. "Would you really be okay if I wanted to do something completely different? Something you might not understand?" The air crackled with anticipation as the father's gaze held steady, an unspoken promise lingering in the space between them. "Let us find out together," his father answered, the the sincerity in his voice now unwavering. As they stood there, the storm finally fading behind them, Jack felt a sense of urgency building inside. Facing his father was just the beginning. I think I need to discover what makes me me. But I can't do it alone. Rosa could feel the tension shift once more. The door had opened, but would they walk through it? And as Jack wrestled with his thoughts, the faint sound of thunder rolled in the distance, an echo of the challenges still ahead. What would happen when he began that journey? Would he find the answers he sought, or would new questions emerge? Jack inhaled deeply, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions swirling within him. This felt like the beginning of something remarkable or terrifying, and he didn't know which. Standing there, with his father still holding that steady gaze, Jack sensed the uncharted territory of their relationship stretching out before him like an endless road. Can we try starting over? Jack's voice trembled slightly as he spoke. I mean, it feels like we've been stuck on this loop for so long. Just trying to find common ground is exhausting. Rosa watched closely, her heart swelling with admiration for Jack's courage. That's a good place to start, she encouraged, her warmth wrapping around them like a safety blanket. Maybe clarity will come when you least expect it, Jack. His father nodded slowly, his expression turning pensive. You know, I've spent so much time wanting you to fit a mold that I forgot to appreciate who you truly are. What you want out of life. I'm ready to listen, truly this time. Just help me understand. Attention began to lift, but Jack felt a flicker of self-doubt creep in as well. What if his father didn't like what he had to say? What if all this talk of discovering himself led him down a path that would only disappoint them both? Rosa, sensing Jack's internal struggle, took a moment to encourage him. You don't have to have a solid plan right now. Even friends figure things out one step at a time. Just trust that it will come to you as you explore. Jack nodded, grateful for her support. It was a small yet powerful reminder that he was not alone in this journey. Okay, he said, finding a spark of determination. Let us do this together. You can support me while I figure things out. Maybe I'll take the time to explore my passion for painting. His father's expression shifted subtly, uncertainty clouding his features. Painting? I never knew that was something you wanted to pursue. It's different from what I imagined. Jack felt a rush of liberation at finally voicing his desire. It's not even just about the painting, Dad. It's about creating something that speaks to people. I've always felt more alive with a brush in my hand than in a boardroom. The older man's furrowed brow relaxed. That's actually beautiful. You deserve to express who you are, Jack. Even if I don't understand it fully yet, I want to support you. For the first time in what felt like forever, Jack could see a glimmer of understanding in his father's eyes. It made him feel lighter, as though the storm inside was start to dissipate. Thank you, Jack whispered, emotion flooding his voice again. This means a lot to me. Rosa's heart swelled as she marveled at the two of them. It was hard to believe that just moments before, they had been stuck in a pattern of misunderstanding. She felt the weight of their growth, and how fragile yet thrilling it was, but questions still lingered in the edges of Jack's thoughts. What happens next? He asked, looking between them. How do I go about showing you my art? What if it's not enough? Shifting awkwardly, his father replied, just share whatever piece of yourself you feel ready to share. I won't judge. And hey, I'll be there for every stroke of the brush. Jack smiled, feeling the tide shift for the first time. But even with this newfound hope, the uncertainty loomed. What if the path ahead was full of obstacles, misunderstandings, or even rejection? Let us start with exploring a gallery and find inspiration, Rosa suggested, tilting her head hopefully. It could be a springboard to your next steps. Jack's heart began to race with possibility. Yeah, a gallery sounds amazing. But what if I fail to connect with my art? What if I can't find my voice? As the sound of thunder faded into mere whispers, one thing remained true, they had stepped into uncharted territory. Excitement mingled with anxiety, forging ahead into a future that was both daunting and exhilarating. And in that moment, just as Jack and Rosa braced for what lay ahead, a distant crash reasserted itself outside, a mere reminder that challenges were mounting on the horizon, lurking quietly, waiting to see how far they could truly go on this new path. Would they find the voice they were searching for, or would the doubts return, choking their progress before it even began? Jack felt a strange mix of excitement and fear as he stepped into the gallery. The expansive space was filled with vibrant colors and sweeping strokes that danced joyfully on canvases. Each piece seemed to hum with life, pulling at his heartstrings and beckoning him deeper into the artistry that surrounded him. "Wow, look at that one!" Rosa exclaimed, pointing toward a massive canvas ablaze with fiery reds and oranges. Jack turned to see a swirling tempest of colors that reminded him of late summer sunsets back home. There was something captivating about it. It was chaotic yet beautiful, just like the emotions that had churned inside him for so long. His father walked up beside him, his eyes fixed on the same piece. "It evokes a lot of feelings, doesn't it?" he said, a hint of wonder in his voice. Jack observed that this was the first time they were experiencing art together, and it felt strangely comforting. "It really does," Jack replied quietly. "I want to create something that makes people feel like that." In that moment, a flicker of determination surged within him. He wasn't just here to look, he was here to find himself. As they moved through the gallery, Jack pointed out various artworks that captured his attention. Each one sparked conversations about color, emotion, and meaning. They were deeper, more honest conversations than they ever had before. The more they talked, the more the weight of misunderstanding seemed to lift, leaving space for something new. "Art can be a form of communication," his father said, recalling moments from his own childhood experiences with art. "It can connect us, even when words fail." Jack's heart swelled at the thought. Maybe art could bridge that gap, a bridge he had craved for so long. Suddenly, he felt a tingle of hope. Perhaps they were starting to understand each other in ways that had once seemed impossible, but just as they began to fully immerse themselves in this new dynamic, a haunting thought struck Jack. What if this was a fleeting moment of connection? Would his father still support him when it truly mattered? The moment Jack revealed his own creations to him. "Do you think I'll ever be able to create something this meaningful?" Jack asked, his voice barely above a whisper. He struggled with vulnerability, but he had come this far. "I know you will," his father answered, surprising Jack. "It may take time, but trust yourself. You have a unique perspective that can touch others. I want you to know that I'll be there, cheering you on every brushstroke of the way." Her heart warmed. Rosa watched the two men, sensing the shift between them, a ripple that maybe things were changing for the better. She smiled softly, appreciating how the chaotic brushstrokes surrounding them mirrored the struggle for connection they all faced. Jack studied the vibrant hues around him one last time. They filled him with inspiration while the doubts crept in, whispering in the corners of his mind. He clenched his fists, a rush of adrenaline coursing through him. Was he truly ready to express himself? Could he really pour his heart onto a canvas for the world to see? "You know what," he said suddenly, breaking the momentary silence. "I think I want to sign up for a painting class. Maybe it's time to jump in and start. Now that's the spirit." Rosa beamed, her encouragement energizing him. His father nodded in agreement, a spark of enthusiasm brightening his expression. "I'd love to see what you create. Just remember, art is not about perfection, it's about expression." Feeling a surge of courage, Jack squeezed Rosa's hand, grateful for her unwavering support. Despite the doubts that loomed large, he could feel a shift within himself, a newfound determination to find his voice. But as they turned to leave the gallery, a loud crashing sound resonated from the entrance. Heads turned, and Jack's stomach dropped as a woman stumbled in, her face flushed with panic. "Help! Someone needs assistance." Suddenly, everything shifted. This was more than just an art gallery now, it felt like the start of an unforeseen adventure. Hearts raced as they prepared to react, the moment stoking the flames of uncertainty and possibility all over again. What awaited them in this startling new chapter? The woman's voice echoed through the gallery, breaking the soft hum of art and conversation. Jack's heart hammered in his chest. The vibrant canvases around him seemed to blur as adrenaline surged through his veins. Was someone really hurt? His instincts kicked in, and he glanced at his father and Rosa, finding their expressions mirrored his own concern. Over here. The woman shouted, turning and pointing toward a small cluster of people near the entrance. They were gathered around a boy, no older than Jack, who was crumpled on the floor, shoulders shaking with muffled sobs. Stay close, Jack's father urged, placing a steady hand on his shoulder as they made their way to the commotion. As they approached, Jack could see the boy's tear-streaked face. His cheeks were flushed, and his breath came in quick gasps. A sense of urgency settled over Jack, mingling with the remnants of the courage he felt just moments before. What happened? Jack asked, crouching down beside the boy. He felt strangely compelled to reach out, to bridge the gap between their worlds the same way he wanted to do with art. I don't know, the woman replied, her voice frantic. He just started crying. I was in the gift shop when I heard him. I thought he was okay at first. I didn't know what to do. Jack's eyes narrowed. He had seen this before, the helplessness, the raw vulnerability painted across a young child's face. It sent flashes of his own fears buzzing at the edges of his mind. He leaned closer. Hey, it's okay, he said softly. Can you tell me your name? The boy looked up, eyes wide and filled with confusion. Max, he sniffled, wiping his nose with the back of his hand. It's just too much. What's too much? Jack asked, his voice steady and calm. He glanced back at his father, who nodded encouragingly. Max hesitated, glancing around as if searching for the right words. Everyone expects me to be happy. My mom says I have everything. But I don't feel anything. Just sad. At that moment, Jack felt a wave of understanding crash over him. They were both searching for something. They were both drowning in expectations. His heart ached for Max. He remembered feeling that hollow pit in his stomach, the expectation to mask his own emotions. I get it, Jack said, taking a deep breath. I've felt that way, too. Max's gaze shifted with curiosity, waiting. Sometimes, Jack continued, when things get heavy, it's okay to feel sad. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means you're human, you know. Max nodded slowly, as if gripping onto Jack's words like a lifeline. Jack could sense the moment shift, the tension in Max's chest began to relax. Art, Rosa interjected gently, stepping forward with a warmth that radiated like sunlight. Art is a safe space for feelings. You can paint all those emotions out. It's a way to express what's inside when words aren't enough. Jack smiled as he felt the connection between them deepen. Yeah. You could join me in a class. I'm going to learn how to paint soon, and I'd be stoked if you came along, too. We could help each other through the process. The slightest glimmer began to show in Max's eyes, curiosity wrestling with confusion. His mother, who had finally managed to reach them, crouched down beside her son. As she listened, her expression softened, a mixture of concern and relief washing over her. Maybe we can start anew, Max, she proposed, her voice gentle. Connecting through something creative like that could be just what you need. Suddenly, a sense of hope blossomed in the space, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Jack realized that perhaps this wasn't just about Max, it was about him, too. He wasn't alone in navigating the complexities of emotions. They all shared this journey, tangled yet beautiful, like the art around them, but as the tension eased, an unsettling thought lingered. What if this moment of connection was just as fleeting as the earlier one with his father? Would he have the courage to face the storm within when it came time to share his own art? Jack squeezed Max's shoulder. Let us find a way to create together, he whispered, heart racing with anticipation and fear for what lay ahead. But before they could continue, the gallery door swung open again, and the chatter of a growing crowd swept in a crash of reality that could change everything yet again. What was going to happen next? The world spun in chaos as the crowd gathered, drawn to the turmoil at the gallery. Jack felt the weight of possibility crush him and lift him all at once. The room buzzed with concern, but in that storm of voices, he caught sight of Rosa and his father, standing shoulder to shoulder, both emanating an unwavering support. In that moment, Jack understood their bond. He wasn't just carving his path but was part of a larger tapestry of emotions and connection. Max, still shaking, looked up at him. The boy was so fragile, a reflection of Jack's own past struggles. Jack knelt down, meeting Max where he was. "Hey, it's okay to feel this way. Remember, it's not your fault if you're sad. It takes courage to share it." The boy nodded, his tears slowly ceasing, replaced by hope sparking in his eyes. Jack felt fierce determination bubbling inside him. Maybe they could both discover their true selves together, learning that vulnerability could lead to strength. "Art helped me find my voice," Jack explained, his voice steady. "Creating isn't just about making something pretty. It's about pouring yourself into it, every joy, every tear." As he spoke, he noticed his father's expression soften, the walls that had once encased him starting to crack. Rosa stepped forward, her nurturing spirit infusing the atmosphere once again. "Art allows you to express feelings that sometimes don't have words. And sharing those feelings makes them lighter." Her words hung in the air, inviting those around them to take a breath, to consider what it meant to open up. "The trick is to begin," Jack added, his heart racing. "If you want, I'll sign up for the same class, and you can join me. No pressure, just fun." He locked eyes with Max, trying to impart a sense of camaraderie, a solid promise they were in this together. Suddenly, the boy's mother interrupted. "If it means he can connect and feel seen, I'd be more than happy to help him explore," she said, warmth and understanding entering her voice. It was contagious. Jack could feel a wave of collective emotion surge through the room, an undeniable connection forming among them. As the tension eased, Jack turned to his father. "You know," he began, his voice wavering slightly at the vulnerability that came with it, "I'd love for you to see what I create, Dad. Because it's a part of me. And I want you there when I explore it." Jack's father inhaled deeply. "I've always been there for your life, just in the wrong way. I want to change that. I'm here to support you, Jack. I promise." The sincerity in his voice felt like a long-lost bridge being rebuilt, a connection he long yearned for. Tears pricked Jack's eyes as he looked up at his father. "Thank you." In that instant, they understood that art could spark the beginning of a radical change in their relationship. Rosa smiled, her heart swelling with pride, savoring the moment where pain transformed into hope. A new storm began brewing outside, but this time, it felt like the kind that heralds new beginnings rather than chaos. She held the hands of these fragile souls, sealing their solidarity. As they stood together, Jack glanced at Max and his mother, the energy between them alive with excitement and resolve. The boy's face had shifted dramatically, the fear replaced by embers of renewed purpose. "Let us do this together. Let us learn." With their hearts united, they stepped into the unknown, a tapestry of dreams and art waiting for them at the end of the road. Later, they strolled out of the gallery together, hearts lightened, stepping into the hushed afterstorm, a quiet reminder that even in chaos, beauty could bloom. With each step towards new adventures, they felt the weight of expectations shift. They were more than what the world sought them to be. They were creators, dreamers, and together, they would embrace the journey ahead. Now, dear friends, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now to catch more exclusive stories like this. It can fuel the change we all seek in our lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share your thoughts below. Every interaction helps create a ripple effect, spreading inspiration, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support shapes this channel and the community we're building together.